Welcome to Calm Nation.
Right before Christmas, a good guy in red is coming to theaters with his new sidekick, Fred.
Why am I here?
You're in a PG-13 version of Deadpool, filtered through the prism of childlike innocence.
I'm a grown
and nobody
man.
does childlike innocence like you, Fred. Nobody. I need you almost as much as you need me.
I don't need you at all.
You need me to untie you once we're done. I loved your working up.
I'm sorry?
Don't get too attached.
Once upon a Deadpool.
Kind of prefer Marvel movies.
We are Marvel.
Yeah, but you're, Marvel licensed by Fox. It's like if the Beatles were produced by Nickelback. It's music, but it sucks.
Whoa! You were nicer as a kid.
Rated PG-13. Limited engagement in theaters December 12th.
Good evening and welcome to Calm Nation Trivia. Tonight we're talking about Deadpool, and I just showed a video of the PG-13 version of the Deadpool movie because, there's not a lot of PG-13 Deadpool stuff out there, but we try to keep it family friendly. We try to keep it PG. Hopefully tonight, it won't just be me, but we'll see how it goes. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. For those of you who are coming back, well, welcome back. The stuff we say every time we we'll do this, I'll do this as long as somebody likes it, as long as somebody shows up. And we're here to have fun, to learn some stuff, and to educate, illuminate, and entertain. Sure, it helps to know a lot about a lot, but our questions are always multiple choice, so take a chance, get lucky, and yes, have some fun. And here is the lovely and talented Buddy SCALERA.
Hey, Ruth, thanks for covering for me. I was running a little late. I was doing the Comic Book School live show.
Yes, Comic Book School, which you should definitely check out if you haven't. They own Tuesdays, but they've allowed me to sort of sublet a small part of it.
Yeah.
So one of the things I try to do every week on Calm Nation Trivia is that I try to show a video, but I also try to keep Calm Nation very family friendly. So when you're doing a Deadpool video, that becomes a bit of a challenge. But yeah, so you missed the Once Upon a Deadpool video.
Ruth, I have to tell you, there are few things that I love as much as trivia, and I will admit that I glanced at the trivia that was there, and I kind of wanted to be surprised with your audience because I looked at it, I was like, oh, I kind of want to be like a viewer.
Okay, well, tonight we're talking about Deadpool specifically, and part of the thing that we do at Calm Nation is we don't just generically talk about Deadpool. We're focusing on Deadpool classics. So if something happened in the movie, or if something happened in the latest issue, or that kind of thing, we may not be covering it, and it may not be true. I have a standard thing that I go into. Tonight, though, we're doing Deadpool classics, trying to focus on volume 1, although I do have a question that's specifically about Deadpool number 54, was it? And I was going to say, it's like Deadpool, a hugely popular Marvel character, only been around for about 30 years.
I think so.
Yeah, but he had he's had a weird history. He's been on cartoons, he's been on video games, he has had his own movie series, but yeah, he is the redheaded stepchild of the MCU. Doesn't quite fit in.
You know what's weird about Deadpool is, I think, depending on how long you've been into comics, Deadpool feels like a modern character, or if you're a little on the younger side, Deadpool's a classic character. And it's funny because when I was growing up reading comics, there wasn't a Deadpool, and Wolverine seemed like the new exciting character.
Yeah. So I wonder who the next generation is going to be. Anyway, so we play trivia. To play trivia, you go to crowd.live/ tonight it's going to be V6CH6, or you can scan this, etc. Here's the standard sort of disclaimer I do every week. Combination makes every attempt to bring you accurate and interesting questions. However, from time to time, some may argue that our questions have more than one answer. Comic book folks argue. Yeah, it happens. If this happens, please accept our preemptive and most humble apology, and please choose from the best response from the options available. Remember, like I was saying, tonight's questions are primarily from the work featured, so if this happened in the role-playing game or the video game or something, may not be right here. Your answer is your answer. The one who gets the right answer fastest gets the most points. The one with the most points is the winner chicken dinner. Although in this case, maybe it should be a chimichanga.
What do you do? You go to their house and do something for them, like rake the leaves or something?
No. The only gift is, outside of the invaluable information, knowledge, is just the overall sense of just accomplishment of knowing this much stuff about comic books. Yeah, because that's important.
I love comic books. This tonight, this justifies the thousands of comics that I have sitting off panel.
Yes, exactly.
Sitting off panel.
Now, in Deadpool number 54, Deadpool is hired to kill the Punisher. What's the Punisher's real name? By the way, who was the writer of Deadpool number 54?
Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah. The Punisher's real name is Frank Castle. And again, I'm going to go with, who wrote Deadpool number 54 specifically?
That would be this guy. Actually, I co-wrote it with Jimmy Palmiotti. So yeah, people, go read Deadpool comics, especially the old ones. I might have written some of them.
Well, and like I say, the older, the original, the classic Deadpool comics have been gathered up, and they're available on Comixology and other places as well, Hoopla Digital, and wherever fine graphic novels are sold. But it's like Deadpool classics, which it took Deadpool a minute to get his own series, so it sort of gathers them up from the various locations and puts it together rather nicely. But yes, do you remember, by the way, just for an additional note points, Deadpool had been hired by whom to kill Frank Castle? Do you remember?
Do I know?
Okay, you can share.
I can. Monucci.
Any specific reason why, or just
because she was the head of a crime family?
Well, okay, that'll work.
She appeared. It was the first time. I think it was the first time that the Punisher and Deadpool had crossed over. Maybe, I think so. But
I felt like it was as well. I really couldn't confirm that. But it's like, God, it wasn't the last. That's for sure.
No, and it was all Jimmy Palmiotti. Like, he was able to like wrangle the different creators together, and I was like holding on to the end of a rocket.
Not a bad place to be.
No, I was a Deadpool fan, Ruth, and then one day I was writing Deadpool.
There you go. Deadpool. Okay. What's his real name?
I never knew he had a middle name.
He does.
How did you find that out?
We do exhaustive research here at Combination.
Wow, that's
his full name is Wade Winston Wilson.
Now I wonder when they gave him the middle name. because I don't ever remember. I will tell you that as the movie came out, Ruth, as the movies were coming out, the first movie, Marvel got in touch with every creator who worked on Deadpool, and we had to fill out bios of all the characters that were in the backgrounds, even if they were killed, and all of the places where it located. And they updated all of those. What were those Marvel books, Ruth, that they used to come out with? The the character bio books. The Marvel Guide, character guide or something.
I'm not thinking. I mean, I don't know offhand, but
Are people allowed to comment in real time if they remember the name?
They can, but I don't. I'm not seeing anybody. That's heavy duty. I'm remembering that there were games. There was a Marvel Comics role playing game.
Oh, the Marvel Handbook.
Yeah.
Marvel Handbook.
And I don't remember.
Yeah, so they had a Marvel Handbook, and we all had to update all the characters that we worked on during our issues, so that they did that. And probably that's where Winston came in, because I never knew his middle name was Winston. His initials are WWW.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. So, but all right. So hold, please. Let's go. Next question. The first live action cinematic appearance of Deadpool was now, to be clear, Deadpool came out. He appeared in cartoon Saturday. He appeared in the X-Men before he was on in a movie. He was in video games before he was in a movie. But his first cinematic appearance was X-Men Origins Wolverine, or Wolverine Origins. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, which was, I would say, an uneven movie. It had some really good parts. It's very watchable. But it was kind of uneven as a movie.
There were some, yeah. There were mixed reviews, shall we say, about the movie, but there was a moment but Deadpool, the character of Deadpool, did appear. If you saw the movie, and Buddy, I'm assuming you did, the bald guy with no mouth, with the mouth sewn shut, that was Deadpool. And if you didn't see the Wolverine movie, but saw the second Deadpool movie, do you remember when Deadpool started messing with the timeline and went back to visit Wolverine and then shot the bald guy with no mouth repeatedly? That's Deadpool.
Again, it's worth watching, Ruth, but a little uneven. Not the best of the X-Men franchise films, but still watchable.
Yeah. And again, and now you know a little something extra about it.
That's right.
But the first full-length Deadpool movie came out when?
Ooh. I would have gotten that one wrong.
Yeah. So this is a sort of confusing question. It's a confusing, and it's truly trivia, because Wolverine Origins came out. It was not the biggest hit in the world. There was some concern that with maybe the X-Men franchise was dead. This was before the MCU was full thruster. People, and by people, I guess I mean the movie theaters the movie studios were not sure there was enough interest and whatnot to do a Deadpool movie. So one of the things that happened is that there were a series of Deadpool shorts that were released. They featured Deadpool in different situations. The Deadpool, yelling, "Shut up, Stanley." That was a short film some would consider it like a mega trailer, but they wanted to see what the reaction was. So these were a couple minutes long, over and over and over. And also, I believe that the script was released, just like a bunch of really crazy stuff that doesn't happen, just to make sure that people were interested in a Deadpool movie.
Wow.
And I kind of think they were.
Yeah.
And by the way,
that's really good trivia. I didn't know any of those things.
yeah, by the way, and again, I was saying earlier, it was super hard to find a Deadpool trailer that was family friendly. Deadpool is a bloody, action-packed R-rated film. It at one point it was the highest grossing R-rated film ever, and that popularity is, as Disney started to have more and more of the MCU, that's the popularity that, well, it needed to continue. All right, next question. In the MCU, Deadpool is portrayed by... It is not Ryan Seacrest. I'm just going to tell you that now.
Come
not
on.
Ryan Seacrest.
You can't
you
shoot
just
like that.
Imagine in your head. So I meant to write this down. By the way, Ryan Reynolds, I believe, and somebody will tell me wrong, full name, Ryan Richard Reynolds. So just like, WWW, he's RRR. Now, for an additional no points, buddy, what Marvel character did Ryan Reynolds portray previous to Deadpool?
Marvel character? Oh my God, I thought you were going to say DC character.
No, we're not talking Green Lantern, which he also did.
Oh, you're
in the
killing
Blade
me.
movie.
I don't know.
It was. Do you remember the Blade movies with Wesley Snipes playing
right.
Blade, the day-walking vampire who hunts other vampires? In the last Blade movie, Blade Trinity, Ryan Reynolds played Hannibal King. And Hannibal King he was a private detective, bounty hunter, and he was one of the supporting characters for Blade. And the way the story goes is when Ryan Reynolds was involved in that project, they sent him a slew of Marvel comics. One of the comics was Deadpool. And again, there is, in one of the first appearances, Deadpool says that he looks just like Ryan Reynolds, crossed with a Shar-Pei dog. And, Ryan thought that was charming, fell in love with the characters, and became interested in portraying him. Wow. So
I like these little side missions that you just put us on.
There you go.
Yeah, I like that side mission.
Yes, I found an article online where Ryan Reynolds said it was destiny.
It was destiny, and now when you hear the voice, you can't hear anybody else's voice other than Ryan Reynolds when you read the comics.
I know, and it's still fun to read.
I haven't read many of the current issues,
so
I don't know.
Deadpool's main love interest. Not Kitty Carlisle. Do you remember who Kitty Carlisle is?
No, but you didn't put, was it Belinda Carlisle? She was in the Go-Go's?
Oh, yeah, I probably should have put her. So Kitty Carlisle, if you're old like I am, and you grew up watching game shows in the evening, Kitty Carlisle was always a guest. If you're really old, you remember her being the star of a lot of the Marx Brothers movies and things like that.
Wow. God, man, you are like pop culture, like the aficionado. Man, how do you do this?
Yeah, no, it's like, this is fun. You
And
got
you do this every week, Ruth?
I do. Next week we're doing Teen Titans. So in the MCU, okay, difference between the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the comics. It's Vanessa Geraldine Carlisle, middle name Carol, and she is portrayed by Morena Baccarin, I think is her last name, who's most recently on Blacklist.
But she rocked it in Firefly.
Yes, exactly. And she may or may not be dead in the Deadpool movies, depending on how you read the last scene, but we'll see. Because the Deadpool 3 has been announced, but that's all. There's no date to start filming, release date, nothing like that. But in the movies, it's all about Vanessa. Love her. In comics continuity, he's been a little bit more active. Buddy, do you happen to remember any of his ex-girlfriends or ex-wives?
No, I think we featured Vanessa in our run. No, I don't remember any of the others. No.
So Deadpool was married to Satana Hellstrom, the daughter of Satan. So, normally this would be a really great place for an in-law joke, with Satan as your father-in-law.
Oh, and he was in love with Death.
Yes, Death,
right?
As in Lady Death, as in Thanos is, this is why I want to kill half the known universe to impress Lady Death. So guess how that went over? Didn't get, because of, that was fun. He was also married to Outlaw, the mutant character Outlaw, real name Inez Temple, also called Crazy Inez. And while I would encourage you all to read the books to find out exactly how that unfolded, apparently they annulled the marriage because there were problems consummating the marriage that resulted in Deadpool becoming very much injured.
Oh.
Yeah, hard to come back from that. But Deadpool has also had serious flirtations and crushes with Black Widow, with Rogue, with Shikla, and Siren.
Oh, Siren! I think she might have been in the series that we did.
Yeah, Siren was one of the early love interests, and it was just, and I have to say, it's like it was very sweetly done. So not too romance travel. So now talking more about Vanessa, not in the MCU, but in the comics, Vanessa has a superpower. Do you remember it? Yes. Good job. In the comics, Vanessa is a shapeshifter named Copycat. Now, there are a lot of similarities between the movie Vanessa and the comics Vanessa. Both had really hard childhoods that resulted in less than ideal career choices. But both are the first, and I would actually say the absolute loves of Deadpool's life. But but in the comics, Vanessa she's superpowered. She's also blue, and she can shapeshift, which was a thing. She also, she was a mercenary herself, and she got into scrapes that Deadpool got her out of. Deadpool got into scrapes that she got him out of, but ultimately they parted ways because, it happened. But
I forgot she was blue.
She was blue.
She was blue, unless she was shapeshifting.
Yeah. She would shapeshift to not be blue. Because in the Marvel universe, people walking around being blue That just happens. That's
Wasn't
just the normal
Mystique
thing.
also blue, and wasn't she the shapeshifter in the X-Men movie?
Yes. I don't remember. I seem to think there was some sort of there might be, and don't quote me on this, there might be a situation where Vanessa might have been related to Mystique and Banff.
Wolverine, Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, also blue, etc.
Yeah, I think Mystique and Nightcrawler are really, aren't they mother and daughter?
Mother and son. Yeah, but it's I feel it's safe to say that if you have blue skin, other folks with blue skin, they might be related to you. It's not exactly a usual trait. Could be wrong. You never know. Now, Deadpool broke up with Vanessa because he had it wasn't cat flu. Cat flu is a wasting illness that came from the DC comic book Prez, and you got it from your cat, and then, well, essentially you died. So in case people are wondering how the creators felt about cats. The Mortococcus virus, do you remember this one? This was the DC virus.
It was a real thing?
Well, it's a real thing. It's a real thing in the
real
comic
thing
book.
in DC.
Yes, the Mortococcus virus is or was it was an adaptive strain of the OMAC virus. Now the OMAC is, I think it's OmniMind and Community, and the OMAC virus was was a computer virus that was infected technology to help create OMACs. And the Mortococcus virus infected humans and it was supposed to make humans devolve so that the OMACs could be superior. So you know that. Yeah.
That must have been was that in the reboot that Dan DiDio wrote? Because I don't remember that in the original OMAC.
I don't remember. I seriously don't remember. Oh, but Teen Plague, by the way, was from Charles Burns. You remember Charles Burns? Do you know Charles Burns?
I don't know him, but I know Black Hole, that creator.
Yes, exactly. Teen Plague was the name of one of his books. Most people know him from his work with Raw, although the folks who were geeky enough to be subscribers to the Sub Pop fanzine actually remember him from that. Yeah.
You can't be out trivia'd.
I can't. It's really tough for me to be out geeked. It's I can be out trivia. I'm not going to say not, but it's seriously out nerded, out geeked. That's hard. I just
keep going, keep going. Keep bringing
so
them on.
Not cool.
Oh, you're the coolest.
I never wrote Deadpool. You did.
Oh heck, that's correct.
Now, according to the comics, to try to beat cancer, Deadpool joins what?
Oh, I know this.
It's not the Talos. Yeah. Weapon X, yes. Which is actually technically, so according to continuity and whatnot, it's not Weapon X, it's Weapon 10, because they were given Roman numerals, and this just happened to be the 10th one, because sure, I believe that. And again, this is a situation where in the movie and in the comic book, this was supposed to be if you had, mutant tendencies, but it was supposed to bring them out. It was a super secret government program, kind of, definitely sketchy. And yeah. So, and if I'm understanding correctly, the way that they explained how Deadpool was so disfigured is because something in the program replaced all of his cancer cells with something else, but it wasn't pretty. And just to round out the geek nums, there isn't a Camino program, but Camino in the Star Wars universe, the Caminons, they are known for their cloning technology. And there isn't a Shambhala program, but that's where the Shadow knew to go to heal himself. He went to the mystic city of Shambhala.
Wow.
And Talos 4, do you remember Talos 4?
Yeah, it was a comic, wasn't it? Talos?
It was in Star Trek.
Oh, okay. There was a comic Talos, though, wasn't there?
There may have been. I'm not familiar, which doesn't mean no. That makes sense. You think some of the image creators are Star Wars fans? James Kirkley.
But
I
this
think it's a
Talos 4 was
possibility.
specifically Star Trek? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's where you remember where Christopher Pike, the Menagerie 1 and 2, where Christopher Pike was damaged and he was hanging out with the other gal who was it was the only two-parter in the original Star Trek series. That was Talos 4. Buddy, what? You're going to tell me you had a life? You had a career?
No, your ability to recall this is staggering.
I have notes.
Even with the internet, I couldn't keep up with you.
Funny. Okay. So, now, Deadpool, known as the Merc with a Mouth, has a superpower of, technically, it's not his looks, it's not his charm.
I love these little animations. They look so good.
It's regeneration. You cannot kill Deadpool. You can't. Apparently his healing factor, he's okay with it. So there's apparently when he and Rogue were hanging out, when Rogue needed healing factor, she would go and she would hit Deadpool up. And because Rogue's thing is she touches somebody and she saps their superpowers. But as Deadpool is unkillable, that was cool. He had plenty to give. And apparently, although you might want to check out the book to see, it's her appearance would change after she touched him. But yeah, they apparently, and apparently the way that they would touch to for Rogue to get the power was that she would make out with Deadpool.
Was it still rated PG?
Yes. Probably past the comics code. Okay. So you'll know this one. Deadpool first appeared in which comic? Just looking for the title, not the month or year or anything. And it's the New Mutants. Now, the X-Mutants was in
Malibu,
was
right?
published. I thought it was Eternity. Might have been Malibu.
Oh, maybe you're right. I don't know.
It was David Lawrence and Ron Lim.
Wow.
Right? And that came out while we were still in high school. But Next Men, you know about the Next Men, right?
Oh, I loved it. John Byrne for Dark Horse for the Legend.
Exactly. Yeah, Next Men started off with Dark Horse, but I think the most recent ones have been as IDW. And Task Force X, that's the real name of.
Isn't that part of the Teen Titans universe or no?
No, close, because it's DC. It is that Suicide Squad is formally known as Task Force X. There's a lot of X's going on. I was digging around when I was looking for alternates. I'm like, there's got to be a Z. There's got to be a W. There's not.
Well, we have
All
Y,
X.
the last man. I'm wondering, does that count?
Yes, exactly. Okay. Now, in this first appearance of the New Mutants, Deadpool is breaking into the Xavier mansion, specifically which room?
Huh.
Now, the attic is where Storm has her garden. And yeah, the New Mutants apparently hung out in the sub-basement of Xavier's mansion, which is this huge thing. And here's the part that I don't get, and here's the part I like. So it's Xavier mansion, right? So, you know, there's grounds, there's a gate, and he's in the sub basement. So he's got to go. There's no magic tunnels. He doesn't have the ability to walk through walls, nothing like that. So Deadpool has to basically come in the front door, go down not just to the basement, but to the sub basement, which is, you know, go down a couple levels and then, you know, look for what it's like. Can someone sell the Xavier's like a burglar alarm or something? Because it might come in handy. It's like, how did he get there without anyone noticing?
Is that
Buddy?
supposed to be Xavier Mansion right there in that panel?
I don't think so, if my memory serves, but I thought it was fun to illustrate the question.
It's a great image.
No, Xavier, Xavier is only 2 floors. There's 2 floors to Xavier Mansion plus the attic, but there's like 3 or 4 levels of basement.
Oh.
There's sub-basement level 1 and there's sub-basement level 2. And he actually went into sub-basement level 2, which means he had to go past the danger room. And no one noticed.
And no
Seriously.
one noticed.
Like, I mean, it's just like, is there just so many costume folks walking around the X-Men mansion that, like, you're like, oh, hey, he just must be new.
Was he ever in the X-Men?
He is associated with the X-Men franchise, and I believe he was like, you know, was it X-Force or X-Factor or one of those? He might have, you know, he might have been hanging out with the new. I don't remember off the top of my head. Probably, maybe that's it. They just knew psychically he would one day be part of the team. Therefore, they didn't stop him.
All right.
That's the part that, like, when I was reviewing this, I'm like, because here's my next question. Who doesn't he fight? He sort of magically appears in the sub basement. There's a couple of folks hanging out in the sub basement. He fights Boom Boom, real name Tabitha Smith, who can do, you know, create little balls of plasma and throw them out. They're like little grenades. He fights Cannonball, that the character of which appeared in the 2020 movie, The New Mutants. Cannonball, Sam Guthrie, and he fights Sunspot. The character appeared in the X-Men Days of Future Past and also in The New Mutants. He fights like 5 or 6 other folks as well that they show. Wolverine is apparently not hanging out with the teenagers in the sub basement, but yeah, goes through them all like they're nothing. So
I'm noticing like little differences to his costume in the early appearance. Like this is definitely art by Rob Liefeld.
I know, right? So, well, Rob Liefeld was one of the creators.
He was a co-creator with Fabian Nicieza.
Yeah. So, Deadpool in the first appearance was hired to find and maybe kill somebody who's hanging out with the New Mutants. Nathan Summers.
Oh my God! What now? Wasn't that the son from a different time
Yeah,
line?
okay. So all of those Summers, the Summers family, they're interested. They're all related. Nathan Summers is better known as
Cable?
Cable, which if you saw the last Deadpool 2 movie, Cable was in it. So Deadpool and Cable go way back. They have a interesting and storied history, and isn't it good to know that Cable doesn't let the fact that initially Deadpool was trying to kill him stand in the way of a good working relationship eventually. Yeah, and Nathan Summers, Nathan Christopher Charles Summers, is the child of Jean Grey and Scott Summers, except not really Jean Grey, it's Madeline Pryor. And my head hurts. If you're interested in unpacking all of that, go read the books, because it's interesting, but ow.
Yeah, it was definitely great in the beginning, and then it got too much, too many coincidences and reveals. It got to be too much. And I remember when Claremont was writing it for like 17 years. He managed to keep it together, and then once it started to spider out to other writers, I don't know if it worked as well. I think Scott Lobdell took it over, right?
I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember who was writing it. Obviously, if you had been writing it during the entire time, it would have been much, much better, much more cohesive. But yeah, as it is, and probably at the time it made sense but it becomes one of those things of like, with his mother, and accepted it's not, and
it was
then
a different timeline. It was there. We went to the future, traveled to the past.
As you do. Alex Summers is the middle Summers brother. Scott Summers is the oldest Summers son, and he's best known as Cyclops. Gabriel Summers is the youngest son. He's best known as Vulcan, who,
And then how does Andy Summers play into this?
I don't quite know. How does Andy Summers play?
He doesn't play much at all anymore. Maybe a reunion tour with the rest of the police.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, do we need to call the police for your trivia? Christopher Summers, also one of the things. He's the father of all of the Summers boys, and he leads the Starjammers, as you do.
Oh,
maybe
right.
Andy Summers should go jamming with the Starjammers.
That's right. That's right.
And Rachel Summers is the daughter of Jean Grey and Scott Summers, but not here on Earth 616. They're a family on Earth 811. And again, my head hurts. I don't,
I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you can whip out 616 like that. I wouldn't know the number.
What in Earth 616 are you talking about?
Sheesh.
Yeah, I made a 404 joke last week.
See, that I will get.
Exactly.
And I would have given you a 403 redirect if I had to, but
yes! I don't. For all you normal people, 404, that would be a code joke. So you can out trivia me, you can out geek me, you can out nerd me. Not 1 ounce of cool, not one. Nope. So, all right, final question. In his first appearance, Deadpool has been hired by... It's not Mr. Mind, who's the little genius worm from Shazam and DC. It's not Mr. Miracle, who is, again, a DC character with a little bit of a... although Mr. Miracle is part of Jack Kirby's Fourth World, but that was when Jack Kirby was working with DC. And, right?
Well done.
And it's not Mr. Terrific, because Mr. Terrific, I think Mr. Terrific is also a DC character. It is Mr. Tolliver. Now, there's Mr. Tolliver is an arms dealer who has a grudge against Nathan Summers. Tolliver, always in the early appearances, of which the first runs of Deadpool, he's always wearing a rubber mask and no one knows his true identity. I will tell you that Mr. Tolliver is a temporal agent gone rogue, which means he too has messed with the timeline because Nathan Summers being the father, but being the son, but staying with being contemporary with his father. Yeah, that didn't mess up the timeline enough. And I will tell you that Mr. Tolliver is after Nathan for a very personal reason. The Summers family must have some seriously awkward family dinners. All I'm saying. So, and that.
Did you write all these? You wrote all these too?
Yes, your job is only to show up and be sexy.
Wow, I couldn't even do my job right.
Aw. So again, tonight we're talking about Deadpool Classic. It's a collected. There's some collections out there that are available. Comixology, Hoopla Digital, wherever fine graphic novels are sold. They're collections of the Deadpool stories, so that if you're a Deadpool fan, you can read them in sort of in order. The anthology does a really great job, in my opinion, of pulling it together and you can read it so that you can understand where he's coming from. The illustrations are by Rob Liefeld, Ian Churchill, Lee Weeks, Ed McGuinness, among others, and the writing is Fabian Nicieza, Joe Kelly, Mark Waid, and Joe Madura, Buddy Scalera, among others. And Buddy Scalera is a comic book writer, an editor, and a photographer. Buddy is the author of the Comic Artist Photo Reference Book, right? Oh. And he is renowned even for his best-selling series of photography visual reference for comic artists.
World-renowned, I think. World-renowned. And I demanded to be on this show because I wanted to be part of the cool trivia kids. And trivia is fun.
Not cool. Trivia
so
is fun.
You do this every week? You do this every week?
Yes.
People can tune in. Back. And what about, where do they find this? Comnation.com? What is it?
Like you, Comnation.com is where I've got some of the information. You can sign up for the mailing list, etc. You can watch us. We live stream on YouTube and Facebook Live, just like you do. The interactive game, which I'm not sure you're being part of, that's on CrowdPur. So they would go to app.crowdpur.com or crowdpur.com and plug in the info. And then on a second screen, they can sit there and plug around and do it. But that only works while we're live streaming. You can't go back later and watch it. But it's still fun to sit there like you were doing with your, sort of play with yourself.
What?
I mean, with the trivia. And
I had to look up some of the trivia. I was like pulling a few things up, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that. You're good with this.
Thank you. So anyway, I'm talking more about you, though. You've written for many mainstream comics, including Marvel Comics. You've done Deadpool, Agent X, X-Men Unlimited, and
Weapon 10, I guess. I wrote some Weapon 10. We called it Weapon X back in the day, Ruth, but I guess it was Weapon 10 all along.
My personal favorite, I want to find your Pet Avengers.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Apparently, that's going up in value in the price guide because something's going on, and not because of anything I did.
Yeah, but let's see. But yes, you can go to your personal website of www.buddyscalera.com or just search for Buddy Scalera Comic Book School, where every week you do a fun and fabulous show that's talking about comics and just the nuts and bolts, a little bit look at behind them, behind the mirror, behind the curtain, to see what really goes on and how
And
the
little
sausage
little
gets
known
made.
fact that Ruth has guest hosted the show and will be guest hosting in future episodes, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ruth Morrison, if you love her here, you will adore her on the educational focused Comic Book School live show. So if you can't get enough of
Yeah.
Ruth, you can get enough of Ruth.
People can get enough of Ruth. All right. So the winner is, for tonight's game, oops. Mary S. is tonight's winner. Woohoo! No chimichangas, but sense of satisfaction of a job well done.
So Mary gets nothing. She just donated her time to trivia.
Gets knowledge and a the feeling of satisfaction of a job well done. That's what Mary gets.
Mary, I would demand more. I mean, Jeopardy winners get money.
Okay. Jeopardy has a budget.
Does Mary let me just ask you something. If Mary is the winner tonight, will you let her subscribe to your newsletter for free of charge?
Oh yeah. And it's a situation of, one of the things I used to hit a little harder but have hit less is, Combination's not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the money. I am trying to have fun, to introduce people to comics. But anytime I even have an opportunity to make money, I donate it to charity. When we do live events, and we do live events, we ask for a donation to be made to charity, specifically ASAN, the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. We've also done one for multiple sclerosis, and a comic creator charity that name completely escapes me. We're not in it for the money.
But wait, we should have something for Mary, like Mary, like, this is the Mary. Is this like the Mary episode, or like what?
I'll give Mary your phone number, and you two can work it out.
Yeah, Mary, we'll get on the phone and we'll talk about Ruth and how much we love trivia.
There you go.
So Mary,
anyway,
so what happened? Mary, did she, by points, she had the highest score?
She had the highest score. She answered the most questions correctly, the quickest, and she just gets to brag to all of her friends.
I'm impressed, Mary. Well done.
Yeah. So any questions, comments, or complaints, email us at the.com.nation@gmail.com. Or again, you had mentioned we're com-nation.com. That's the website. You can come join the mailing list, etc. Next week, we're doing Teen Titans, specifically some of the George Perez stuff, because George Perez. And next week, hopefully, Todd will be back from Las Vegas visiting the Chicken Ranch and be here with me.
Well,
so
congratulations.
And then on the 31st, right? I'm gonna come and go to comic book school.
You go to comic book school, and what's in your newsletter if somebody subscribed?
Right now, it's just we send out weekly emails about the upcoming shows.
Oh, all right, and it's free.
It's free.
And Mary was able to participate tonight for free, right?
Exactly, as was all the other players. But Mary won.
Congrats, Mare.
All right. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. And I will talk to you all later. See you next week. Bye.